welcome. I'm Susan Buchser-Lochocki, running for President of the United States with the Green Party. And this is my kitchen. It's a children's book reading story time. And it's not really a picture book, although there are some pictures, and I'll show you some other pictures later maybe. I don't know how long it's going to go, but it is a generalized story from the European perspective on the history of discovering America or the New World. It's from the Time Chart of World History, a history of peoples and nations for 4,000 years by John B. Sparks. And it's Metro Book. So anyway, that's the book. And there are lots of chapters. Here, I'll show you the map. There's Europe and Asia, Australia, and then the Americas, or the New Worlds, whatever you want to call it. Then, like I said, there are lots of sections. There's an introduction, of course. Then there's a Chinese section, Indian section, Egyptian section, Amorites section, Aegeans, Hittites, Iranians, Greeks, Romans, British, Huns, Arabs, Russians, Americas, and then that's the end. So, apparently the book was, this edition was published in 2012, so not so long ago, so we'll consider it somewhat current. What I might do is read one page and see what time it is, and if we have time, then I'll go ahead and read the second one. There aren't so many pictures, but I'll show you these to start with, I guess. There we go. Okay, so let me get started. By the way, there are some indigenous words in here that I'm going to mispronounce. So I'm just warning you already. So, the indigenous cultures of America before the arrival of European explorers in the 15th century were primarily hunter-gatherer societies, though a number of sedentary civilizations also flourished from around 2000 BC. Notably among these were the Mesoamerican cultures of Mexico and Central America. So, the cultures of Mexico and Central America settled agrarian civilizations that left evidence of shared architectural, artistic, and religious characteristics such as step pyramids, temples, a fascination with astronomy and mathematics, and skills in gold and silver metalworking. The Maya, who flourished in Mexico from about 250 AD until the end of the first millennium, were skilled astronomers and produced the only known fully developed writing system of the pre-Columbian civilization. The Aztecs, a desert people known for their military prowess, ruled much of central Mexico from the early 15th century, and by the time the Spanish arrived in 1519, their capital, Tenochtitlan, I know I mispronounced that, was thought to be one of the world's largest cities with a population of over 200,000. In North America, the Mississippian culture that appeared toward the end of the first millennium developed intensive agriculture and an extensive trade network. Their civilization was notable for the building of huge earthwork mounds, the best preserved being those of Cahokia, again I'm mispronouncing that, an ancient city in present-day Illinois dating from the 7th century. The decline of their culture was accelerated greatly by the expeditions of the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto in the 1540s, which exposed the native peoples to European diseases against which they had no immunity. Europeans began to take an interest in the economic and trading opportunities offered by the Americas. From the late 15th century, the Spanish were the first to explore the continents, both north and south, with Christopher Columbus making 4 voyages to the Caribbean islands from 1492. During the 16th century, the French, Dutch, and Spanish all established colonies in North America. The most significant colonists in terms of the later history of the United States were the English, who set up their first successful colony in 1607 at Jamestown. Through the 17th century, further English colonies were established in New England and down the eastern coastal strip, many based on the cultivation of cash crops such as tobacco, sugar cane, and rice. The colonists were adventurers and entrepreneurs or religious refugees, or convicts or slaves and indentured servants, creating a highly diverse culture. Britain's victory over France in the 7-Year War from 1756 to 1763 was highly significant for development of the North American colonies, effectively ending France's colonial ambitions in North America, and encouraging efforts by those such as Benjamin Franklin to unite the 13 British colonies for mutual support. The war was enormously expensive for the British, and its newly acquired territories required the presence of more troops. To fund these costs, Britain imposed new taxes on its North American colonies, provoking widespread resistance on the grounds that the colonies were required to pay taxes to a jurisdiction in which they were not represented. In a situation of increasing hostility, the British sent troops to enforce their rules. The Battle of Bunker Hill in 1775 marked the outbreak of the war, with the colonies proclaiming their independence as the United States of America in July 1776. With support from the French and subsequently the Spanish, the war spread beyond the North America theater, and Britain conceded defeat. After the decisive Battle of Yorktown in 1781, the Treaty of Paris, 1783, recognized the sovereignty of the United States over the territory east of the Mississippi from the Canadian border to the Gulf of Mexico. The states drew up a constitution and a Bill of Rights in an effort to delimit the powers and responsibilities of the central government. The first president elected under the new Constitution in 1789 was George Washington. Washington's administration established a strong national government and financial infrastructure with a new program of taxes. The election of Thomas Jefferson in 1800 saw an assertion of the ideas of decentralized government. He encouraged expansion westward and sanctioned the purchase of the former French colony of Louisiana in 1803. The United States attempted to remain neutral in the Napoleonic Wars, but Britain's seizure of American ships and sailors to supplement its own navy led to a new war in 1812. The American victory enhanced the new nation's international prestige and self-esteem and heralded a period of national unity. However, from 1820s, party politics came to the fore with Andrew Jackson, Democrat Party dominating. Jackson became president in 1828, championing the concerns of small farmers and traders against the increasingly large industrial and commercial interests of the North. So I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to start again and make it a second video. Part 1 is done.